All right. In 3, 2, 1, action. Welcome back, everybody. It's Tony Tubes. Welcome to Tubes World. And right now, I'm going to get into something that's going to take a little bit. And I've told this story before, but I actually, honestly, I think I privatized or something like that, the video that I released when it all happened, because a lot of things have happened since, and I don't really agree with everything that I said the first time. So, for those of you who have no idea, and you're just like you just want to listen to my soothing baritone. Back in 2015, I was on a little, like four-time Emmy-nominated show called the Screen Junkies show on YouTube. And they're still a thing, but they had me on. I won a contest. I like to say, I won a contest, but I also won it because of creative ability, I think. Because one of the things about it was the fact that they wanted you to answer a question. They said, hey, you can come and be on movie fights and stuff like that. And that's one of their shows, one of the Screen Junkies shows, Movie Fights, which is like a debate about movies. And you basically, if you make the best argument for, whatever the question is, who should play the next Iron Man, or something like that, then you win points and stuff like that. I lost miserably. But no, in order to get on, they said, hey, let's, send us a 1-minute video answering one of these 3 questions. And the 3 questions were, what's the best movie vehicle? What's the best R-rated action film? And what movie franchise do you not want to see any more of? I did not read the instructions very carefully because, okay, here's the deal, man. I literally was sitting there and it was about 9:30 at night. Just got the kids to bed. And I went on, I was getting updates from my email from screenjunkies.com because way back in 2012, I started this channel, which was then called Tube Review. And it was just me doing movie reviews because I started just writing movie reviews on Facebook. And a lot of people really, really liked them and reacted very well to them. And a lot of people were like, you need to do something on YouTube. And so that's when it started, 2012. I think the launch date for Tube Review was 4/20/2012, if I remember correctly. How could I forget that day, But around that same time, I found a little channel on YouTube called the Screen Junkies. And they did these things called honest trailers that I really liked. There had only been like 3 or 4 of them. And I was really bummed, I really, really liked them. I was like, oh man, there's only a few of them, but I stayed with it and I watched them every week. And then they started having like the Screen Junkies, like the show and stuff with Hal Rudnick. And it started getting really cool and started really taking off. And I was really, really a big fan. And the one thing that stood out the most was the Nick Mundy doing his take on the new RoboCop movie. That was honestly like the pinnacle of internet comedy for me for a long time, was that little rant that he did. But I loved it, and then, so, I stuck with it for, like 3 years. And then, and like I said, the channel was growing and stuff, and they added movie fights. And I wasn't a huge fan of movie fights. I never really, really dove into it because it was really long. And back in those days, I had really little kids, so I didn't have a lot of time to dedicate to such long things. But I still really enjoyed it. But I signed up for their email news subscriber or whatever. I don't know. But something popped up from Screen Junkies that said, "Hey, do you want to be on Screen Junkies? Send in your submission video." And also, I'd like to point out that I actually went on Facebook and actually added, I think, Andy, Dan, and Hal before they ever got really, really famous. because I was really into their work. I really dug what they did and stuff like that. So, I'm sitting there. It's like 9:30 at night. My wife gets off work at 11. I'm sitting there and I see this thing. It's like, hey, do this and maybe you can win a shot to be on the Screen Junkies. And I misread it, and so I actually did a video submission with all 3 questions, and it took like a minute and 7 seconds or something like that. But I pulled out my phone and I wrote up a couple things as to why I thought, my picks were best movie vehicle was The Time Machine in Back to the Future. Best R-rated action film, obviously, Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the franchise I don't want to see any more of was the Terminator franchise. So I did this. I wrote up something really quick, just the reasons why I like these things, and I tried to put a little comedic spin on it and stuff. And I had done some stuff for like the radio station in town here, where it was called Tube's Trailer Reviews, and they aired every Thursday, and it was just talking about new movies that were coming out and just pretty much ripping on them. And it was really popular. Like a lot of people really liked it and stuff. And so I kind of had a little bit of a comedic writing thing going on and stuff. So yeah, I just wrote this little, minute and 7 second long rant about why I liked these things. And I threw it on my computer really quick. I popped some pictures in and clicked send. And that was it. Like that was the extent of me doing that was just that one little thing right there. And so lo and behold, like a week later, and I did this all before my wife got home. I did it for about an hour and a half. It took me to fucking, from reading the email to clicking send, took me about an hour and a half. I'm really good in a pinch, but at least I guess so. But so about a week later, I get an email from this guy, from Dan Merle. And, I want to take back what I said. I was not friends with Dan on Facebook right away. I was friends with Andy and Hal. Because when Dan emailed me, I thought it was just, one of their people. I honestly didn't really know who Dan Merle really was. His mythos hadn't really gotten too extreme yet. He was still kind of a behind the scenes guy, except for movie fights. But anyways, so I get this email from Dan, and he said, "Hey man, we really like your submission tape, and we have a few more to look at. And if we picked you, would you be able to, come out to Hollywood and stuff like that on X and X dates?" And I got the email and I was like, "Holy shit!" Because when I saw those guys, when I saw what Screen Junkies was doing before it was massive, it kind of opened up a different world of, hey, you might be good at something else out there. I do these movie trailers and stuff like that, but these guys are making a living off of just having fun with movies, and it just sounds amazing. And I've always been a huge fan of like MST 3000 and just, all that kind of stuff. And I have a comedy writing background and stuff. And so it's like, wow, it fits pretty well. I mean, my brain retains movies very, very well. So, it kind of, it was kind of like one of those things like, wow, like I really looked up to those guys, and I was really like, holy shit, like I can't believe this is actually a thing. So as much as I loved the idea of going out to LA, I didn't have any money. I was broke. I need a drink of water here. So, I told the wife about it, and she was like, holy shit, and so I emailed them and I said, as much as I would love to, I would be able to, but there's no way I can afford a plane ticket out there or a hotel or anything, man. And they said, well, he emailed back. He's like, well, you don't worry about that. We would bring you out here. And I was like, if that's the case, then fuck it. I'm down, man. Let's do it. whoa. I was like, I'm fucking down. Let's do it then, And they said, okay, well, we have a few more things we have to do, and then we'll figure it out. Okay. So, a few days later, he emails me again. He's like, I just talked to Andy, and you are one of 3 people that we are going to bring out here. We really want you. And I was like, oh, sweet. And he was like, do you have the opportunity to do you have the capability of Skyping with me just to make sure you're not a fucking weirdo? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And I actually didn't have the internet at the time. I was broke. So I actually went over to a buddy's house, and Dan went late in a meeting or something. So I ended up hanging out at my buddy's house for a few hours, waiting for Dan to get a hold of me and Skype with me and stuff like that. And he finally did. And it was really cool. I felt like I was on point with this guy. I was like, hell yeah, dude, this sounds amazing. And he asked me some vetting questions and shit. And it was really, really cool. I was really, really just stoked. And I thought maybe, God, man, maybe some doors are opening for me here. Maybe something's happening here. Because I felt this world, and I felt like I needed to be a part of it. And I felt like I had something to contribute to this world. So, hoopla, this, hey, Tony's going to fucking LA, holy shit, and so packed my bags and got an airplane in Aberdeen and fucking drove from Redfield and got on an airplane in Aberdeen, and I don't know, 4 or 5 hours later I was in LA, and it was very surreal. I've seen New York, I've seen a lot of big cities and cool things and stuff like that, but LA was pretty fucking sweet, man. And the guy that picked me up from the airport, named Brendan Kennedy, he was a good guy. I'm actually still friends with him on Facebook because, we met literally that one time, but he was just such a cool guy, and he posts some really fun stuff. So it's like, hey, yeah, why not? But yeah, he picked me up, took me to In-N-Out Burger because, In-N-Out Burger sounds amazing. And it was okay. The fries were weird. But, took me to the fucking Hilton. They put me up at the Hilton. Whoopi Goldberg's wax figure was in the lobby and stuff. I took a selfie with it, and everybody, and I immediately posted it. Everybody's like, oh my God, you met Whoopi. And I'm like, dude, really? Look at the photo, man. She looks like she's about 20 in the fucking photo. But, yeah. I got there and it was just very surreal to me. It was very surreal. And I felt like things were falling into place for old Tony Tubes, finally, a little bit of something's coming my way here. And, after having 4 kids and, a little bit of a criminal history when it came to weed, and a lot of black sheep family kind of shit, and just I don't know, man. I've never been the one that had anything special happen to them like that. I'm just a kid from Aberdeen, South Dakota. But Dan was texting me that night and stuff like that, giving me the questions. Because I was supposed to be on the couch. I wasn't supposed to be on the show. I was just supposed to be as a spectator, but they wanted my thoughts on tomorrow's movie fights questions. So I gave them to him. Cool. I got there, and, honestly, the show itself, you can watch it. It's on the Screen Junkies channel. Who should be the next Wolverine? Screen Junkies movie fights. Check it out. So you can watch it and see how that went. And I thought it was, really fun. And Mika and Brian, my 2 opponents, that Mika flew in from Hoboken, New Jersey, and Brian flew in from Niagara Falls. And really, really nice people, really awesome. And I just remember us having little, disagreements in the vehicle on the way to the studio and stuff like that, as to fuck, dude, because Mika had never seen Aliens or something. I don't remember what it was, but we went out to lunch and all this shit, and I remember, okay, so I'm a cigarette smoker. So when we got there, they did some cool stuff with us and everything, and and they took us into the Screen Junkies show set, with Hal and everybody. And I actually brought a couple of figures. I had an extra Gowron Star Trek: The Next Generation figurine, and I had this little black Lego dude. And I was like, I'd be honored if I could like put these up on your movie shelf, because I love this show so much. And they were like, yeah, dude. And I brought a copy of Back to the Future too, because I basically won my way out there with Back to the Future. And so I had everybody. I think I got everybody's signature except for Andy's on that. That would have been cool though to have Andy's signature on there too. But so. And I still have it. I still have that copy with, it's got Dan Spencer, Nick Mundy, Mika, Brian. God, it might have Andy's name on there too. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I have to look at it when I got home. But, so that was really cool and everything. And then, there was the whole like fan thing, so I got to hang out with Nick Mundy and have some one-on-one time with Nick Mundy, and that was really cool. He was a really, really nice guy, super awesome guy. But I remember during it, I was like, "Hey, I'm a cigarette smoker. Is there any place I can pop out and have a smoke?" They're like, "Oh yeah, Dan smokes. He could take you out and show you where to smoke." And I was like, "Okay." Still not really knowing who this guy is. I still don't really know who Dan Merle is, and like I said, his mythos hadn't been. He hadn't become such a fucking celebrity in the nerd world yet. And nor had the channel really garnered a lot of attention. Like this was before they had a lot of like really like, A-list celebrities and stuff like that on movie fights and a part of their channel. It was still kind of in its infancy. So Dan takes me out on this balcony and we just have this really nice conversation about shit. And I just remember thinking to myself, God, man, this is where I need to be. I need to be right fucking here, man. This is what I need to fucking do. And I'm already here and they like me. Like they saw something that I made and it stood out over hundreds of possibly thousands of videos that they got from fans wanting to be on the show. They chose me. Why? Not because I was just like picked out of a fucking hat, but no, I stood out and I was proud of myself for that, And so I'm also standing out there on the balcony with Dan, and I look over towards the sky rise, and I just remember like across the street there was a Lamborghini dealership right across the street. And it was just like, don't see that in Aberdeen, South Dakota, or Redfield, South Dakota, But I remember looking out over at the horizon and shit, and all of a sudden I just go, wait a minute. Is that the fucking Nakatomi building right there? And he's like, that is the Nakatomi building. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, where the fuck am I right now? Like, oh my God. We go in, I forgot to say. So that was a little bit earlier on in the day before filming. Andy still hadn't got there. He was taking like a red eye back from New York or some shit. But I went out for another cigarette later, and Brian actually came out with me because I was telling him, the fucking Nakatomi building's out here. So fucking Brian and me go out there and shit. And I remember standing there on the balcony. I look at him. I'm like, man, I respect you, bud, but I'm going to beat your ass in there. And he was like, we'll see, man. We'll see. He ended up winning. Like I said, I lost horribly, but I think I made a good impression. Like if you actually go down in the comments of the video, like, a lot of people really liked me. And a lot of people thought I got shafted, and hey, sorry about that. I just I had a phone call, so I had to take it really quick. And I turned my volume up a little bit more, so sorry about that if you guys couldn't hear me very well. But anyways, I had a lot of fun on movie fights. And you can watch it. Like I said, it's on the Screen Junkies channel. Just type in who should be the next Wolverine Screen Junkies movie fights on YouTube, and you'll find it. That was my 15 minutes of fame right there. But so I had a lot of fun, and everybody, there was one moment that stood out for me during the game, and it was Andy said something about the new Spectre movie coming out from James Bond, and he said the trailer for Spectra came out. Everybody's like, Spectre! And he's like, darn it and everything. And just really quick, I was just like, just a reminder, we're on the Screen Junkies show. And Spencer was like, laughed his ass off at that and shit. And it was just to see somebody who writes honest trailers laugh at something, at a joke of mine, it was cool, man. I felt like I belonged with these guys. I really did. I felt like I vibed with these guys. I felt like this is something that I need to be doing, in some capacity. Get another drink of my water here. Did you hear that? But that night we got done filming, and okay, so we went down. Me and Mika and Brian went down to Hollywood Boulevard. They gave us each $50 gift certificate or like gift cards or something like that, just like a prepaid Visa card or something. Go down and have some fun. And so we started off at the Cabo Wabo because Sammy Hagar, because Van Halen, because I'm a fucking Van Halen fan. I started off at the Cabo Wabo and had some margaritas at the Cabo Wabo. It was pretty fucking sweet. I remember we were walking down like almost to the Chinese theater on Hollywood Boulevard there. And I remember walking by this group of people and I caught a whiff of something. What the fuck was that? That smelled like weed. And so I went back to these guys, and it was some brothers standing there on the fucking street, and they were fucking chiefing a blunt and shit like that. And I just went up to him. I was like, "Hey man, I'll give you $5 if you let me hit that a few times." He was like, "Yeah, brother, go ahead." So I fucking tore off this blunt a few times with these guys. Just had a couple of nice words and shit, and fucking got myself there, and fucking ran and caught up with Mika and Brian and everything. And just, God, dude, I just had so much fucking fun that night. It was really, really cool. And it was something I really needed. Like, I really was in need of something like that. But I remember I went up, there was like these catwalks with some really sweet statues and stuff. I don't know what it's called. But that's where the Cabo Wabo was. And I went up to the tallest catwalk, the one that looks over all of it. And I called my wife. I remember I got on the phone with her, and she's like, "How'd you do?" I'm like, "Well, you'll have to watch the show." She's like, "No, fuck you. You tell me how you did, man." She's like, "Don't do that." And I was like, "Okay, I lost, but I had a lot of fun." And she's like, "Yeah, And then so I got a text from my mom, asking, "Hey, are you available?" And so I called her, and when my mom and I would call each other, we always had this, like, it started when I was in high school, but she would call me or something, and I'd always go like this. I'd always answer the phone like this. Yeah. She always laughed. Like, every time, it didn't matter. Even if she was mad at me and she was calling me to be pissed off at me about something, she would still chuckle a little bit, like, "Fuck you, man." But yeah, she called me, and I did that thing, and she laughed and I laughed, and she's like, "So how's it going out there?" And I told her, how it was going and everything, and my mom and I, we had a really good relationship. We had a very interesting relationship. Our relationship was very much so, a lot of it was based on getting fucked up together. But I mean, we watched movies together. She taught me a lot of things about life. She was a very, very wonderful woman with a splash of Delia Dietz from Beetlejuice. Just a splash of Delia Dietz from Beetlejuice. Mom was a very interesting mutant prototype of a human being. But I loved her. She was my best friend. And she, honestly, in this world, when she was alive, there was nobody else that I felt got my brain better than her. Like, that's where my brain came from, was her, So, I talked to her, and all of a sudden she got real with me for a second, and she was like, "Tony, I want you to know that This is where you're supposed to be. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're on the road now. And keep going, and don't give up. And you are talented, and you have a lot to give to this world, and this is the start of it for you. And I just remember like I tearing up there and just saying thanks, Mom. And I really felt that. I really did. I really felt that. So yeah, and then while I was there, my grandma died. Or no, she died like the day I flew out. And then her funeral wasn't until like Monday or something. So I was going to be okay to get back to the funeral and shit. But it's like I came back and grandma died and I had to go to that. And this was in April when I went out to LA, 2015. And 2 months later, I got a phone call. And I'll never forget this. I was off work for the day, and I talked our friend Sarah into driving from Aberdeen to Redfield to come and see us because we hadn't seen her in a while. And it was always fun when Sarah would come and visit. You know, the kids loved her, and we just had a great time with her and shit. And so Sarah's on the way. All right, sweet. And I remember I was standing in my kitchen, and I was right by my fridge. And I got a phone call from my mom's boyfriend telling me that my mom was in the hospital. And I asked if I could talk to her, and he was like, no, she really can't talk to you right now. I was like, all right, well, I'm on the way. And he was like, oh, you don't have to come out here, man. And I was like, no, fuck nut. I'm on the way. Okay? I'm on the way. My mom is in the hospital. I'm coming to see her. Plus, he was not giving me a lot of fucking information. So I drove all night. Sarah got there to the house from Aberdeen, and I told her what was going on. I was like, Ashley gets off at 11, but I need to leave now. And she was like, okay. And then I actually ended up waiting until Ashley got off of work. And then I, kissed her goodbye and kissed the kids goodbye, and I took off to the Black Hills. And my mom was dead about a week later. And I got a couple of semi-lucid conversations in with her, but the last really lucid conversation that I had with her, and full conversation too, you know, there was some times where I call her, hey, what's up? You know, oh, okay, gotta go by. But that standing on that catwalk in Hollywood was probably one of the last times that I had a really good, deep, full conversation with Mom. And then she died. And, I'm still taking her death very hard. She was my best friend, and she's the only person I thought that understood me. But I took those words that she told me to heart, and I really tried, and I reached out to the Screen Junkies guys, and when she died, we were all still it was all still kind of fresh. I'd just been there. And so they were still kind of hitting me up on Twitter and stuff like that. Hal and Nick Mundy, personally got in touch with me saying, hey man, sorry to hear about your mom. Nobody else got in touch with me. But I reached out to them. And I just said, guys, I would really like to be a part of this world. And, Spencer even gave me his email address and said to shoot him some ideas and stuff. And I did. But they just stopped answering my emails after a while. And it was really hurtful. I know that they have a huge fan base. And I know that they can't, make time for little old me. Why should they? They're bigger than me, But at the same time, it was just kind of like, I just didn't understand it. I felt something when I was out there, and then it was just gone. And I offered, I got in touch with them, and what the fuck is that? Someone's texting me. Hold on. Nobody's texting me. But I got a hold of a couple of them, and a couple different times, and I said, hey man, I would really like to come back out and be on the show again, and I'll fly myself out. I'll do all that. I'll do all that myself. You guys don't have to flip your billfold open at all, man. I just want to come on the show again. And they crickets, didn't hear shit. Finally, I think Andy hit me up a little while later, or said something online a little while later. I just said, I'd love to be on the show again. And he said something really snarky, like, you should feel lucky, like you got the chance in the first place. And it was kind of like, wow, dude, holy shit. Okay. Well, around this time as well, Mika, who was on the show with me, we correspond and stuff like that. And she let me know that Andy came out to New York and tried to hook up with her. And I was just like, what? Doesn't he have like a fucking wife and a kid and shit? She's like, yeah, but he was texting me and wanted things to go further than just a friendship and everything. And I told him no. And that was about it. But she was really hurt about that, because that kind of, I think she felt a little devalued. Like when she got on that show, she thought that, I got on the show because of this reason, because they liked my pitch for, because her thing was the best movie vehicle was actually the time traveling train in Back to the Future 3. And she thought that she legitimately got on that show because of, a lot of other things other than the host wants to get laid. She just felt very devalued after that. And I think that really hurt her. And I, advocated for her as much as possible and just tried to, I really didn't want to put anything out there that is her story to tell. I am not about ready to blow the whistle on somebody and ruin their fucking marriage because, something happened between him and a mutual friend of ours. I am not the person to do that. If it was my story, then I would have complete carte blanche to do that. But that was Mika's thing, and I didn't want to do that to her. And Mika's a really, really awesome person. She really is. And I'm, it's hard for me to say this, but I will say this. There was a point in time where I told her, I was like, wow, you have fucking leverage now, man. You could get back on that show tomorrow if you wanted to. You got some fucking leverage here, man. And then, the shit comes into my head, I actually have some leverage here. But did I use it? No, I didn't. Because I'm not that kind of person. But I can't say it didn't cross my mind. I could have fucking, emailed Andy and said, or text message Andy or something and said, hey man, so sounds like you wanted to get into Mika's pants, I could tell your wife, or you could have me back on the show. What's it going to be? I could have done that. I thought about doing that, but I didn't do it. Because in the end, I'm not that guy. And I think I deserve some credit for that. But anyways, but I tried, man. I tried my hardest to get back on that show. And they were very standoffish with me and stuff. And I didn't get it. I didn't understand why. And it hurt me on an even more personal level because of that conversation with my mom. Because I didn't have conversations like that with my mom. My mom didn't tell me things like that. And I thought, especially in the light of her death and everything like that, that there was meaning behind that. I really thought that there was some meaning behind that. Like the universe is telling me, not just my mom, but the universe is telling me this. And I was wrong. But I wasn't out. My wife bought me a video camera, and I learned how to, shoot in HD, and I started making my own material. And I did it for a long while. I did it for about a, good couple years there and stuff, and got, pretty okay following it. Wasn't anything that was making me money, that's for damn sure. But, there were people online that liked my content and stuff, and and it went even further. And I really wanted to be back on that game show, but on movie fights, but I knew it wasn't going to happen because these guys were not interested. And I even remember I tried to get on. I tried contacting Harloff, and just being like, "Hey, man, I would be a great Schmodown contestant. Like, I have a good online persona. Enough people kind of know me and stuff like that. I was on Screen Junkies and stuff like that, and I have just a bustling, huge brain full of fucking movie knowledge, just useless movie knowledge that's doing nothing." And he basically like wrote back to me and said, well, hit me up again when you make a name for yourself. And it was kind of like, wow, fuck you, dude. Maybe some of us don't have maybe some of us are operating out of our fucking living room in, Redfield, South Dakota, but some of us are ready to do the work. You want me to fly my own ass out there to be on your fucking show? I will. But don't sit there and tell me that this movie nerd or that movie nerd is more knowledgeable or a better nerd than me because they have more followers online than me. That it's very, very shitty of a thing to say. And I'll bring that back up here in a minute because after Screen Junkies turned me down and Schmodown turned me down and just nobody wanted to have anything to do with me in that fucking nerd world, I said, fuck it. I'm going to do it myself then. And I came up with Silver Screen Showdown, which is my online movie trivia game show that nobody watches, but I still like doing it because I enjoy creating things. I enjoy putting all this knowledge in my head to use, and I enjoy entertaining people. I enjoy hanging out with my friends, and I enjoy movies. So let's just combine all these things into this game show, and it was awesome, and it still is. I'm working on season 3. I've been very down and out about this whole thing, and I've really been dragging ass on it. I mean, shit, the last season came out in 2018. It's 2020, almost 21 now. So I've been very, very, it was honestly kind of a damaging experience for me. Just the whole Screen Junkies thing. It really just kind of sucked because there's just a combination of a lot of things. That conversation with my mom and then them just shunning me and just, nope, sorry, kid, you ain't got the stuff. But I felt like I did. I felt like I did have something. I felt like I did have something to contribute, and it really hurt me. And so, I came up with Silver Screen Showdown and stuff. But then in 2000 and fucking whatever the fuck, 17, something like that. Yeah, I think it was 2017. Andy Signore, the guy that hosted movie fights and stuff like that, the guy that was hitting on Mika behind the scenes and shit. All of a sudden, there was a bunch of other people calling foul on this guy and saying that he was doing a bunch of shit, a bunch of crazy shit, like sexual assault and stuff like that. And I remember reading that, like hearing the news about that and stuff, and seeing Screen Junkies go dark. And sorry about that. And my wife, I married that woman for a reason. That woman is my conscience. She has my soul and my heart, and she is one of the most caring, loving, and understanding people on this planet, and I trust her, completely. And I remember when the Signore shit happened, she looked at me and she said, maybe this is your chance again. Maybe they're in a spot and they could use somebody like you. So I made a video. I reached out again, and nothing. Get some emails from fucking Dan and stuff like that saying, oh, well, your time on movie fights was never supposed to be like an audition for anything, man, and stuff. And I'm like, I understand that. I understand that that is not what I was out there for. I understand that I was not plucked so I could be up and coming talent or anything like that. I get that. But as an artist and as somebody who has, you know, like running the musicians reunion. I used to run the musicians reunion out here before everybody got too old. You're running something like that, and you have people on stage and people playing, and new people coming up all the time, people that you don't even know, and there has to be a level of trust and a level, because everybody wants to get on stage and be a rock star. Everybody wants to be on stage and be a rock star, but you have to be willing to give people a chance and to sit there and say, well, I'll give you a shot. I think I learned that from another person that died in my life. His name was Dale Purdy. And I was in a band with him in high school. And I remember the first year we started jamming together, he was on drums, I was on guitar, and he wasn't that good. He was not that good. And a lot of people gave him a lot of shit for it. And, because there was a few drummers in school and stuff. And he was not looked at very favorably amongst the drummers, but he was a hell of a great guy. And rest in peace, Dale Purdy. But I told him that. Like, it was right before summer break, and I just looked at him and I said, man, I love playing with you, but you got to practice more. Like, you got to, one of the best things about being a good drummer is knowing when not to play. You don't have to splash a cymbal on every downbeat, you just work on it. And I left for the summer. I came back to South Dakota because I was in Missouri at the time. Came back to South Dakota to be with Mama for the summer, and I came back, and Dale was fucking Neil Peart on the goddamn drums. This guy had been practicing day and night like the whole fucking summer. And I came back, and there he is, fucking drumming his ass off and being awesome doing it and sounding great. And he was one of the tightest fucking drummers from there on out. Sometimes you just have to give people a shot. And the Screen Junkies, yes, they have a huge fan base and everything, but, why not? You saw something in me when I sent you that audition tape. Or not audition tape, when I sent you the submission tape for the contest. I can almost guarantee you laughed at it. I put effort into it. Maybe this kid's got something. Maybe we should, hey, this guy, he was on the show and he was a really awesome guy on the show and everything. And he wants to fly back out here and be on the show again, man. We should get him on again. Why not? Nope. They didn't want to fucking do it. They didn't want to hear about it. Nothing. So, when the whole Signore thing happened, I reached out again and nothing. Nothing. And it just really jaded me on a lot of shit. It really did. And I think that was the time when a lot of my movie nerd spirit kind of dwindled out a little bit. Because I was really into it before that, man. I was really working my ass off and really working hard at creating really cool, funny content and stuff like that. And then they killed me, man. And I mean, I understand completely, sort of that, well, you can't be selfish, Tony. You can't always get what you want and everything. I understand that. I really do. But it was just very disappointing to me. And it painted them in a new light for me. So I made a video and I basically called Andy Signore a wolf in nerd's clothing. I think is what I labeled him as, because it was heinous. It was heinous shit that he was being accused of. And I mean, enough people, and plus I knew the whole Mika thing. I knew the Mika story, so I knew that he was capable of shit. I just didn't know how much he was capable of. He totally could be a fucking rapist. I don't know. All I know is that he is kind of scummy because he did do this behind his wife's back with a friend of mine, or tried to. So, I wrote him off like everybody else did. I did. Fuck him. Fuck that dude. Hope he gets everything that's coming to him. That was my mentality. Then all of a sudden, like a year or two fucking later, like a year later or something, he resurfaces online. And all of a sudden, he's got receipts. And he's got text messages. And he's got emails. And he's got all this fucking proof that, like, 2 of these chicks were full of fucking shit. Does that completely, like clear him? No, it does not. It does not clearly clear him. But there is no proof that guy did anything besides either consensually cheat on his wife or try to cheat on his wife. Like, there was nothing else that proved that. And I might be wrong about that. I don't know if he ever cheated on her. I don't know. But all I know is that a lot of the shit that was being, put out there on his brand, on his name, was crap. A lot of it wasn't. There was a lot of people that, like Mika, that came forward and stuff like that. And so it was kind of... So when he came back, I actually reached out to him, and I, apologized to him and kind of, talked to him a little bit, and we exchanged some correspondence. And he, many times, I will say this, many, many, many times, he contacted me saying, I would like to, the whole Mika thing still bugs me. There was one time where he asked me, I would really like to contact her and tell her I'm sorry, in person, over the phone, whatever. But, can you just act as an intermediary and just kind of go in there and see, see what she thinks, see if she's open to letting me contact her. And so I did, and she wasn't. She was very, very, I'm done with it. I'm past it. I really don't need his apology. Tell him thank you, but no, I don't need to talk to him about it. But, I'm over it and all that stuff. But, he did reach out to her, and he did want to reach out to her and everything. And I thought that was very nice of him. And honestly, I will tell you guys this, in our correspondence, I mentioned to him about Silver Screen Showdown and all this stuff. And he was very supportive of me. There was a lot of opposition to me doing that show in the ways of like some family members and, just the fact that I didn't have a lot of money to do it. And it was just, the whole world was against me at that point in time. I was drugged through the fucking dirt with the whole Screen Junkies thing. And then the little bit of Schmodown shit and everything. And I just, and I told Andy about it, and he was very supportive of me, of the whole thing. And I think he even might've tweeted something about it. And, he said that, he would love to watch the kids episode of Silver Screen Showdown with his kid and everything. And he was really nice about it, man. And he's always been really good about keeping up with correspondence. So, the whole thing is just very mixed for me because, there's the whole Mika thing that happened, and he was scummy. But, is he beyond redemption for that? No, I don't think so. I don't want to completely, I don't want to tattoo his fucking face on my shoulder or anything like that. But, I do have to say that I think that Andy Signore, and he just, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, because he just got done airing out the last of his dirty laundry, it seems, for the Screen Junkies and shit like that. And, they ghosted his ass, and they didn't fucking support him, and they didn't even look to see if this was true or not. They just followed they followed their crowd. And their crowd was against Signore because of this article and that article and this person and that person. And all of a sudden it was a fucking lynch mob. And it's like, do you go against the lynch mob when they're the ones paying your fucking bills? No, you don't. You know, and Defy Media was was shitty in that department too, in the ways of how they handled things. And I know that Mika, you know, contacted them and you know, told them her side of the story, and nothing ever happened. And when that happens, man, you know, if you're a victim of something, when that happens and, you know, you're basically just shrugged aside, that is a really, really terrible feeling. It really is. One second. Somebody is messaging me now. But I just want to say that I think that the Screen Junkies handled that very, very improperly. I'm very jaded towards the whole nerd movement online. I'm very jaded towards it because it's like high school, man. It's like high school all over again. And these people are nerds from high school, people that were never fit into anything and weren't a part of the popular crowd or anything like that. And a good portion of them are very snobby and very entitled, and I think that they don't appreciate their fans as well as they could. Because honestly, I am not a huge internet personality or anything like that. But when I was doing Silver Screen, I put a couple people on there that I had no idea who the fuck they were. But I knew that they were passionate about movies. I knew they were good people. I had talked to them before and everything. Kind of vetted them like Dan vetted me. And I had them on. You know, I could have put my friends on. My friends that know more about movies than these people do. I could have put my friends on that don't know as much about movies as these people do. Just because I want my friends on instead of some unknown. So, Andy Signore is okay in my book. The things that he did were not okay. The things that he admitted to doing were not okay. The things that were done to him by people like that fucking April Dawn chick. And that chick, I don't know, dude. I watched that like live at Comic-Con movie fights where they, you know, they like met her and like it all started right there and everything. And that chick looked batshit fucking crazy from the beginning. That's just me though. I've looked the devil in the eye, and that chick had some fucking at least some really shady shit behind those eyes. But it's just hard for me, man. It's hard for me to talk about this because it's all I wanted. I've thought to myself that I found my niche in this world, and then my mom really instilled that in me and basically told me to shoot for the fucking stars, and I did, and they batted me out of the fucking sky. And I tried multiple times, tried to take my cues and shit and see if I could you know, at least just get out there one more time and be on the show. You know, that was where I wanted to be, man. And they just completely killed it. And then, you know, the Andy Signore stuff happened, and it killed it for me even a little bit more then. It died a little bit more. But through all of my pain through this, the one nerd online that has been the nicest and the most open and transparent and the one that has supported me the most is Andy Signore. And I just want to say that regardless of what happened, I respect him. And I would love to sit down and just have a conversation with the guy again. You know, person to person, man to man. And just, you know, because I am an advocate for people, for battered women and kids at a women's shelter. For all intents and purposes, I should not have anything to do with this guy. But I understand victims, and I understand abusers a little bit more from working for this job, and I love my work. I love what I do, and I feel like I'm doing something good for the world and for these women and kids. And even though I hate fucking women beaters and stuff like that and rapists and stuff like that, Andy Signore is not one of those. And I just, seeing it from my perspective and the job that I do and everything like that, I feel like he has earned his way back into our lives, or at least the people that would like to hear from him again. And he's got a wonderful channel. Popcorn Planet is really, really, it's kind of, Popcorn Planet sounds like a movie thing, but he does a lot more than just that. And I really respect him for that. And I really respect the channel. I'm subscribed to it. And if you didn't check out his, 4 or 5 parter that he did on the Screen Junkies and stuff, I highly suggest checking it out. He also did a whole different channel called Hugging the Cactus that was really good. And so yeah, I mean, if you want to support him, I mean, if you still think he's kind of scummy, don't support him. But I'm just saying that throughout all of that and where I've come to today, and if you want to know, I'm currently working on projects. I want to do Silver Screen season 3. I have a short film that I'm working on right now, and I'm doing more of my own creating in the ways of entertainment instead of just bitching about movies online. I want to be one of the people that makes the movies that you bitch about. Excuse me. Jeez. A little burping fest here. I want to be the guy that makes the stuff that you talk about. And I actually did. This last February, before COVID, right before COVID happened, I actually created a short film. And I would like to, at some point in time, actually do a little podcast about the making of it. But it's on Tubes World. And you can also, if you find me on Twitter at TonyTubesZer, it's the first thing that's pinned. But it's my little Twilight Zone-y fish guard short film that I did. And it's called The Protector. And it's kind of weird and sci-fi-y. I definitely, it was a 24-hour film festival, so you had 24 hours to make it. I think I did pretty okay for 24 hours. And so, yeah, I want to talk about that on a different show. But, yeah, check that out. Support people. Support artists. Andy's trying to do good in this world. He understands his shittiness in the past. I've been shitty in the past. I've been shitty in the present, but not like that. I don't cheat on my wife or anything, but or try to cheat on my wife. It's okay though. I mean, it's not okay, but it's in the past, and I'm giving Andy Signore one more chance because he was there for me when a lot of other people weren't, and he didn't have to be at all. He did not have to be. We are not friends. We are not true friends. We didn't grow up together or anything like that. We didn't start a channel together or anything like that. So he supported me when nobody else would, and he really didn't have to. So thank you, Andy Signore. Check out his stuff, Popcorn Planet, Hugging the Cactus. Check out my stuff, Tubes World. I do talk about movies, but there's also other things, too, that I want to talk about. So it's just kind of a random podcast. If it's movies, it's Tube Review. Tubes World presents Tube Review. And if it's local community stuff that I talk about, then it'll be the Dakota Podcasting Experience. Other than that, it's Tubes World. So thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry, God, dude, we're over an hour now. Sorry it took so long, but I had to get that shit off my chest one last time. I kind of doing my last little dive into the Screen Junkies and basically saying Screen Junkies kind of killed some of my persona. And I had a hand in that, you know. But we live and we learn. Love you guys. Have a good night. Take it easy. Tubes World.